If you're watching this video, then that means that your stash looks a little bit like mine does. Stick around and we'll go over 5 tips to make more money, survive more raids, and be the best rat you can possibly be. First tip on the list is that some maps simply are not worth your time. I would avoid PvP focused maps like Factory or Labs, as well as maps that simply do not provide consistent loot like Woods. Finding maps that provide you good loot as well as easy runs is paramount to a successful rat run. A map like Reserve is great for consistent money runs as well as raider loot. And even if you don't kill the raiders, a lot of times players leave that loot behind that they can't carry out, leaving easy scraps for you to come pick up. Lighthouse is the same story. A map covered in rogues, it is easy to go in and find all sorts of loot left behind by the big juicy chads that simply didn't bring as big of a backpack as you. Customs and Shoreline are also great maps. They're great for stash runs, running stash to stash. Early wipe, this is a little more dangerous, but mid to late wipe, stash runs are very safe, very easy to do, and a great way to make easy money with little to no opposition. Moving on to tip number 2, we need to talk about the objective of Tarkov. No, it's not to kill players and get a super high KD, or to crush out every task until you finally reach that sweet, sweet gamma. It isn't even to get rich. The objective of Escape from Tarkov is to escape, or rather, to survive and extract. Getting out with kills and loot is simply a nice bonus that usually comes along with completing the main objective of the game. In order to become the greatest rat in Tarkov, you need to prioritize survival above everything else, including loot. This means adopting a very stealthy playstyle and adjusting your mindset to running from more fights than you take on. My basic tips for better survival are to play slower than you normally would and think ahead about the plan you have for a raid. Are you there to loot stashes? If so, what route will you run? Are you there to hunt a boss? If so, how are you going to get there? What will you do after you kill him? Basic questions like this are very important to maintaining forward momentum in a raid and making it out alive. Run your raid as quietly as possible. I recommend a suppressor if you have one for taking out stray scavs who might wander into your path, as well as bringing along some extra food and water, as a slower playstyle means longer raids. Lastly, train yourself to only run for loot you know you can get. It does you no good to pick up a graphics card in the tech store only to get steamrolled by the 3 other teams who are also running there. It's better to get out with mid-tier loot that you can guarantee than it is to die 5 raids in a row for high-end loot that everybody wants. Bouncing over to tip number 3 is that we as rats just need to be honest with ourselves and know our chances of survival. Let's be real. You wouldn't be watching this video if you were a super chad who could kill everyone he looks at. Know your limits, and be okay with letting go of your pride in order to survive. There's no shame in retreating if the fight isn't going your way, or if you just don't want to risk dying. It's important to know your own capabilities, but also to know the capabilities of your equipment. If all you have is a P.A.K.A. and a Vepr Hunter with BCP FMJ, you should be okay with knowing that you probably won't win any fights after the second week of wipe. Likewise, if you're running trooper armor and an Ulak with a gun with great ammo, you can play a little more confidently knowing that your helmet and armor can stop shotgun blasts and your gun can penetrate good armor. Don't get baited into fights just because somebody is trash talking over VoIP or because somebody killed your buddy. Fight with your survival in mind, not your ego. Lastly, if you are playing with a buddy, it's okay not to bring their gear out of raid or to abandon them mid-fight for your own survival. Remember, you are a rat, and as such you should prioritize your own life and loot over everything else, including friendship. Moving on to tip number 4 in our rat Bible, keys, keys, keys. Keys are the most valuable asset you can invest in at any point during the wipe. They not only give you access to quest items and valuable barter items, but also supplies that can save your life mid-raid or keep your run going for longer. In my opinion, the most valuable keys are not the ones that bring you to high-value loot, but rather the ones that bring you large amounts of supplies in short periods of time. Buying food and water is very expensive, and don't even get me started on meds. Here are just a few keys for reserve that I think any self-respecting rat should grab on his quest to build the ultimate rat empire. The names of the keys are RBPSP1, RBPSP2, RBPSV1, and RBPSV2. These are the keys that open the iron cages underneath the hermetic door extract in reserve. All of them hold large amounts of supplies as well as valuables and are well worth their asking prices. RBPSP1 opens a cage holding 4 ration supply crates, 1 medical supply crate, 1 technical supply crate, 1 toolbox, and a bunch of floor loot like food, drinks, fuel, and sugar to name a few. RBPSP2 holds 1 medical supply crate, 2 ration supply crates, and 2 technical supply crates. RBPSV1 is hiding 2 medical supply crates, 1 ration supply crate, and 1 technical supply crate. And RBPSV2 contains 3 medical supply crates and 1 tech crate. RBPSV2 is the cheapest of the 4 at around 80,000 rubles, and RBPSP1 is the most expensive at about 200,000 rubles. While it might be tempting to attempt to grab all 4 of these keys right away, I would caution you against that unless you always play in a group. People go into the cage area quite often to hunt raiders, and thus if you're a solo you usually won't have time to loot all 4 cages without having to fight. I would recommend grabbing 1 or 2 keys to start with, starting with RBPSP2 first, since it contains a wide array of supply crates inside and is relatively cheap at around 130k. In conclusion, keys are like real estate, and will almost always bring more value than they cost to purchase on the flea market. The final tip for this video is that if you have exhausted all other options, are unable to escape, and must fight, fight dirty. Don't think about honor or playing like a Chad because you aren't. You're a rat, and you should fight like one. Toss a bunch of grenades, shoot some legs, and enact as many dirty tactics as you know in order to win. Are they behind a car? Lay down, roll onto your side, and shoot their feet out from under them. Are they using VoIP to try and intimidate you? Use your voice to deceive them by pretending you're one of them if they're a scav, or asking if they want to take the co-op extract if they're a PMC. Once you've lulled them into a false sense of security, hit them with that rat attack and get out of there. If all else fails, roll on your side and play dead as a last-ditch effort to get them to show their face, and hit them with that headshot when they lay down to loot you. Your survivability is only limited by your humanity, mercy for your enemy, and self-respect. If you guys have made it this far and you liked the video, you found it helpful, hit that thumbs up so I know you guys want to see more, and drop any comments or questions you have down below. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down and let me know in the comments what I can do better for the next one. I'm planning on making videos like this for other games as well as more Tarkov content, so if you enjoyed this, then please subscribe and ring that bell so you can be notified when I upload in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Peace!